Welcome back to day 4, BookTubeAthon. As you can see, it's a rainy day 4, so I'll be spending a lot of the morning inside reading. I'm going to be working my way through Tash Hearts Tolstoy. I haven't seen the cover in a while, but that's my book with a person on the cover. Reading it on my trusty e-reader. There's another skippy screensaver. So I'll probably be reading till around 12 o'clock or so, because then I'm going to a movie. I'm going to go see Dunkirk. I'm kind of excited. The previews look really good. I didn't get a lot of reading last night done. I plan on tackling this a bit more. I had quite a few hours to work through it, but I ended up marathoning The 100 on Netflix, based on a book I read quite a few years ago and just thought it was so-so, but the show was really good, so into season 2 now, so got a little catching up on reading to do to get back into the BookTubeAthon flow. So I'll talk to you guys later. So I just got back from the movie. Dunkirk was amazing. I highly recommend you guys go see it. I took War and Peace along with me in the car to read, and it was kind of a short trip, but I read a few pages on the way there and the way back, and I'm kind of continuing with it so I can finish up the reading I need to do for today to keep up with the read-along. And then when I'm done with that, I'm going to dive back into my ebook. Turned out to be a nice sunny day, so I'm reading outside again. Good morning, everyone. It's day 5 of BookTubeAthon. Last night I read a lot of Tash Hearts Tolstoy. Didn't quite finish it. According to the counter on my little nook here, we've got Skippy here again, I'm like 217 out of 276, so I'm pretty near the end. I should finish that one up today. I have about 4 hours left of my audiobook, so I'm going to go ahead and take a walk and listen to that. Okay guys, I just finished my 3rd challenge of BookTubeAthon, which was read a book with a person on the cover, and I had chosen Tash Hearts Tolstoy by Catherine Ormsby. It's a YA novel. It's a typical YA novel. It has the teenage angst, it has the secret love, it has the kind of a relationship over the internet, kind of a budding relationship. What it focuses on, though, is a young girl named Tash. She's about 17, and she has a fascination with Tolstoy, loves Tolstoy's works. And she, along with her best friend Jack, which I think is short for Jacqueline, decided at one point to come up with a web series based on Anna Karenina, but make it a modern adaptation of it. And she, Tash, along with her sister and a bunch of other friends, kind of create this web series, a weekly web series. And before you know it, it's called Unhappy Families, by the way. And before you know it, it goes viral. Some famous YouTuber spots it, discusses it, and all of a sudden their subscriptions are up to like 65,000. And then suddenly they are nominated for a Golden Tuba, which is some sort of award on YouTube. And they're ecstatic. They're a little feeling the pressure of it as well. But Tash has kind of developed a relationship online with a young man named Tom, with an H, by the way. He also has like a YouTube show, and it's also been very popular and is also nominated. So they're going to be meeting for the very first time at this award show, and Tash is a little bit nervous about that. I mean, she's had relationships before, but she's never had to explain, or gone that far to have to explain to someone that she's been dating that she's asexual. So this is sort of asexual representation within a book, which I've not come across before. And for those of you who are not aware what asexuality is, it's someone who doesn't experience sexual attraction. Now, Tash feels romantic attraction. She is attracted to guys. She wants a relationship with guys, but she doesn't want that step further. How is she going to explain this to Tom if the situation comes up? How will he take it? She has been a member of the Gay Alliance at her school since she was like a freshman. And there's a passage in here which I want to track down. So the person running the meeting has a statement. It says, allies are important. They're the A in all our acronyms, after all, as in the LGBTQA+ acronym. That bothered me at first because that's a very contentious point among the asexual community, that A's represent allies but yet don't represent asexuality. Like, asexuals have no representation within that acronym, that the gays and lesbians of the community think that they don't need representation, but then why do allies? I thought it was a very interesting point, but then the author kind of redeems himself, says in the character, Tash says that those comments bothered her. It made her feel like no one saw her kind of people, that they did exactly count. So asexuals basically are shunned by both communities, by the heteronormative community because they don't see them as sexual beings, and then you have the gay and lesbian community who think they are not discriminated against in the same way that they are, so they don't need representation. Why can't the A stand for both? So this book kind of opened up lots of questions and brings to light what it's like for someone who experiences, or who identifies, I should say, as asexual. The background story of the whole webinar and other situations with her friends and things like that were pretty good. I thought it was a fairly well written book. Again, it's a YA book. It's not super deep or anything like that. It kind of went the way I kind of imagined it would to the end. There's a nice little comment, not a comment, but an epigraph, which I want to read to you, from our very own Tolstoy, which I think pretty much sums up everything. If it is, and it's from Anna Karenina, of course. If it is true that there are as many minds as there are heads, then there are as many kinds of love as there are hearts. And that's all we need to know. So overall, I gave this one 3 stars. Now I'm going to be moving on to my next challenge for BookTube. I have 3, well, not even 3 full days left, so I picked something small, and that went with the book that I chose because of the cover. And it's going to be Susan Hill's The Traveling Bag and Other Ghost Stories. There's like a total of 4 ghost stories. It's under 200 pages, so I think I have the best chance of probably finishing this one. And since it's a beautiful day, I'm going to continue reading outside. So I just finished the first short story within The Traveling Bag by Susan Hill, and it is the main title, The Traveling Bag. It's about 2 gentlemen sitting in a club. One of them is a paranormal detective, and he's telling the other gentleman about a case that he was involved in. There was a medical researcher who was doing really quite well in his field, became very ill and needed assistance. So he brings in an assistant who isn't quite trustworthy. And when the researcher has sort of a relapse in his illness, this assistant takes off with a lot of the research information. And many, many years later kind of resurfaces again and kind of claims that work as his own. And the original researcher has no proof. He has no way to prove that that's his work. So he seeks his revenge. So it's a tale of revenge and the results and what happens to that person who seeks the revenge. One thing I didn't like was the conclusion, the way it sort of shifts narrator from our paranormal detective to one of the main characters within the original story. I thought that was kind of jarring, but overall it was kind of creepy, and I'm looking forward to trying the next one out. I just finished the second short story in here, which is called Boy 21, about a young boy from a rather abusive background is sent to a boarding school where he meets another young boy of a rather sad, tragic background with his family, and the two become very close friends, inseparable. They seem to communicate without the need to communicate. And some people, the students kind of think they're a bit weird, but leave them alone, and the teachers kind of are worried about the closeness of this relationship and think maybe they should separate them. And then one day, the boy just disappears. He's gone. You encounter the one remaining boy as an adult. He's sort of revisiting that friendship and kind of questioning the nature of it. And I found it very intriguing, kind of mysterious, and I really like the feel of it, kind of unsettling and really, really good. So I'm looking forward to the next 2 stories. Morning, guys. Welcome to day 6 of BookTubeAthon. About to continue with The Traveling Bag, the 3rd short story. I made a little bit of a start on it last night. I have about 80 pages left to finish in this book, so I should be able to finish that one off today. Reading The Traveling Bag, and I just finished Alice Baker, the 3rd short story in this one, which is really good. Alice Baker is this mysterious office worker who shows up one day. She kind of keeps to herself. She's very private. No one knows anything about her. She doesn't open herself up, try to make friends within the office. She doesn't partake in any of the office celebrations. Everyone feels uneasy around her, and there's this strange lingering smell of decay around her, which people start to complain about. They originally start out in an old office building, and they are finally moving into a new office site. There's something going on with the area and with this woman, and you have a total sense of uneasiness throughout the short story. I thought it was really well written, and I'm looking forward to going on to the next one. So I just finished the final short story in this collection, which is entitled The Front Room. It's about the Irwin family, Norman Irwin and his wife Belinda and their 3 children. After hearing an address from their pastor about feeding the poor and sheltering the homeless, they take it to heart, and Norman decides to invite his elderly stepmother, to move in with the family, and they set up the front room for her. She's elderly and frail, but they've always had a really contentious relationship. He didn't like the way she treated his father, but because of what their pastor said, they decided to kind of look beyond that and try and get a new start. Things seem like they're going to go well at first, but things turn fairly quickly after Solange, the stepmother, moves in, and things turn rather creepy in the way she acts towards the children, and their mother, Belinda, is very unsettled and wants her gone. It was really good and creepy, and I really enjoyed it. I think this is an excellent collection of ghost stories. Gives me a new outlook on short stories, which I've never been a big fan of, but I enjoy every single one of these. Highly recommend this one. I'm giving this whole collection 5 stars. So this concludes my 4th challenge for BookTubeAthon and this particular one was read a book that you chose because of the cover. 2 of us have a difference of an opinion as to which direction to go. Well, I just finished my audiobook, which was A Quiet Life in the Country by T.E. Kinsey. This is one of the books, one of 2 books I chose as part of the challenge just to reach 7, so it didn't focus on a specific reading challenge, but I'm going to go ahead and kind of twist it and use it for one of them. I had originally chosen this book as my challenge for a character very different from me, but I'm not going to get to that book. The character within this one suits the challenge anyway. Our main character, Lady Hardcastle, is an English lady living in the 1900s who's an eccentric widow who happens to solve crimes, so I think that kind of suits that challenge. So I enjoyed this. This is a little cozy mystery. She retires along with her lady's maid, Florence Armstrong, to the country after having lived in London. They've lived a kind of exciting life that's sort of hinted at throughout this book, perhaps within crime investigation, because she definitely has a penchant for it as the story goes along. But her idea of a quiet life in the country doesn't quite pan out when she stumbles across a body hanging in the woods. Now it appears to be suicide, but on closer study of the crime scene, she realizes something's amiss. There's a stump underneath the body, and when she tells the police officer to kind of stand that stump underneath the body, it comes up 6 inches short. So someone put that body up in the tree. I thought overall it was a fairly good story. It didn't progress as much as I had hoped. It was a little slow going, but it made me interested enough because I like the characters. It's definitely written with a sense of humor. I like the relationship between Lady Hardcastle and her lady's maid. They're definitely a closer bond than just a servant. And the interesting thing about the lady's maid is she's very proficient in martial arts, so it does come into play occasionally. But I really love the humor and the banter between those 2 main characters. I'm definitely interested in continuing with the series and trying out a few more of them. Definitely through audiobooks, because I really enjoyed the narration of this. I've never paid that much attention to who's doing the narration, but go ahead and look it up on Audible. But this narrator did a fantastic job, I thought, and really engaged, got me engaged in these characters. So overall, I gave the story 3 stars, and from there I'm going to go ahead and press on to A Long Way to an Angry Planet. Long Way to a Small Angry Planet. I can read. This is my challenge for hyped book, and I've also downloaded the audiobook in case there's times when I can't take the physical copy with me if I'm out walking Skippy. I've only got like a day and a half, not even, before the end of BookTubeAthon, so I want to see how far I can get. I've already gotten like 15 pages into it. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up for today and post this, and I'll just do the final day on its own. So thanks for watching.